Now, the Prime Minister has been slammed for singling out Muslims following the Burke Street terror attack. Mr Morrison said he could not speak of the incident without naming the threat of radicalised Islam behind it.
We would be kidding ourselves if we did not call out the fact that the greatest threat of religious extremism in this country is the radical and dangerous ideology of extremist Islam. There is a special responsibility on religious leaders to protect their religious communities and to ensure that dangerous teachings and ideologies do not take root here.
Islamic leaders say the PM's remarks are irresponsible. He should apologise for using the Muslim community as a scapegoat. Kuranda Seyit is the Executive Director of the Forum on Australia's Islamic Relations. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
You're demanding an apology. Why? Educate us. Tell us what you do to dob in radicals in your community.
Can I first start off by just condemning these terrible attacks, and our heartfelt sympathies are with the Malaspina family and the other victims of this attack. So the whole country was in shock by what they saw on Friday afternoon. Something in broad daylight in the middle of Melbourne. It's just unfathomable and unbelievable. So I can understand how we're all feeling at the moment, and the emotions are high. But our community and our organisation and the Muslim community in general have been bending over backwards to assist authorities in various, I suppose, campaigns and activities to address, issues around radicalisation of Muslim youth, particularly with young people who've been brainwashed by these terrible online videos and propaganda videos by ISIS. And so we do a lot. And I think that the comments made by the Prime Minister are irresponsible, and let's call this out for what it really is. It's political expediency, and it's timely to try and create a wedge between the Muslim community and the broader community. But the reality is we should be uniting the community together to fight all forms of extremism, and particularly to assist the police in the wonderful work that they do.
But what are Muslim leaders actually doing? You say they're doing a lot. If a young person is at a mosque, perhaps talking about doing something, committing an act of terror, are Muslim leaders doing enough to combat that very rare threat of Islamic radicalisation?
This is why the Prime Minister's comments are out of line, and I think that it's a shame, because it really undermines the great work that we've been doing. For example, I'll just give you just a short list, because there are so many things that the Muslim community has been doing, particularly our imams, the leaders of the mosques. They have a very special role, and they are at the front line of addressing this issue of radicalisation. And so there is only a handful, a very small minority of people who are affected by the propaganda of these online organisations. Now, the imams mentor young people. They assist the police in talking to people who have been identified as being radicalised, and they mentor them. They give them guidance to bring them back to the correct interpretations and the ideas that Islam teaches about peace and helping other people.
So they don't dob them into authorities, though. They just try and mentor them out of that thinking.
Oh no, of course. In many instances, there have been where someone's been identified as being extreme or at risk. The mosques, the imams working there, or the community members will actually identify them and then talk to the police about them.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. Kuranda Seyit, thank you very much for your time today. Muslim leaders want an apology from the Prime Minister. Pauline, do they deserve one?
No, they don't. No, they don't. I just listened to that, I don't know if he's an imam or who he is, or a leader of the Muslim community. He's actually admitted that they are pulling those ones back from radicalisation. We know that Muslims do lead to radicalisation, and it has happened, and the attacks that have happened in the country, plus also the ones that have been foiled. It's like with the Catholic Church, we call them out for the pedophilia, and we've had, so call it out for what it is. most of these attacks, and I'm not saying that all Muslims are radicals, not at all, and a lot of them live in peace, and they want to live in peace in this country in fear of the radicals themselves, the fundamentalist extremists. This is why I'm saying that call it out for what it is. I congratulate the Prime Minister on doing that. But I've also say a couple of things is stop travel bans from countries where they do have the extremist Muslims. Stop them from coming to this country, as Donald Trump has done. We do not give out citizenship in Australia for 8 years, and then for a further 10 years after that, they can't get rid of their dual citizenship. If they are incompatible with our culture and way of life, send them back to where they come from.
Yep. Darren, Peter Dutton says a bit earlier on Sunrise, he's happy to look at anything, the having visas cancelled, deporting them, but it's the Senate that's blocking these ideas.
Well, two things here, David. One, I think the Prime Minister is right. This guy wasn't a Presbyterian, and so he was right to call it as he sees it, and I support him on that. Anne Ali, who she and her husband are both counter-terrorism experts, a member of the lower house from Western Australia. I usually agree with her, but on this issue, I think she's wrong. The Prime Minister is calling it as he sees it. I think most Australians will agree with him. The problem you've got, though, with identifying people having some sort of terrorist, perhaps, connections, if they haven't committed a crime, it's very hard to deport them. I know Jason Woods is trying to push that line along as well, but that's the problem. If they have committed a crime, or if there's a threat to the community, you should be able to charge them with some sort of crime. But otherwise, it's very hard to throw people out, as Pauline would say, go back to where you came from, unless they are guilty of criminal offence.
But if they're on a terror watch list, aren't they a threat to the community?
Well, yeah, but if they're a terror watch list, have they done something that puts them on that list? I don't know. I mean, I can see that, you know, and you would hope that the federal police are that clever, and I think they are. And if somebody has done something that puts them on that list that is tantamount to a crime, then they could be deported. But unless you get through a court of law, let's just tighten the laws then. Make sure we can throw them out if they've breached the law.
Well, Peter Dutton wants to do that, but blames the Senate for blocking it.
I'm not sure what
Can I just make a comment here that some of these people have come here with their parents as refugees. They are actually Australian citizens. If they still have if they don't have dual citizenship, we cannot deport them. That is the problem. That's why I'm saying wait till we give them citizenship. They must hold their dual citizenship for further 10 years. That gives us some time to sort out who they are. I'd also like to say I'm absolutely disgusted with Dr. Anne Ali and her comments and linking this to domestic violence. It's got nothing to do with domestic violence, and it's disgusting, her comments with regards to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. There's no link. I mean, you can't try and bundle us all up together, Pauline. And look, if Peter Dutton, we're back in Canberra all week this week. If Peter Dutton wants to have a chat about this, I'm more than happy to talk to him.